welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark. The action is the Juice Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who's gonna give it all he's got. It's Norbert Morvan.
You got a great ass, Hoffmeyer!
Jesus.
This movie is one of those where it comes on TV, you stop what you're doing.
Yeah.
The iconic scene with De Niro and Pacino sitting there having that coffee, that actually happened in real life. Apparently, this dude, Neil McDonough, was a real guy.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this cop actually chasing him, and they actually did have a conversation similar to the one in the movie. So, yeah, this movie's worth it just for that scene alone.
Yeah,
Love you, man.
He was tracked down by Detective Chuck Adamson. It was like a game of cat and mouse between them. Now, I really wish a Al Pacino character's name would be Chuck. Like, that would be amazing. Call Pacino Chuck. Now, Norbert, I want to do something. I want to kind of set the table here. In '95, I was 13, and I wasn't I hadn't seen Serpico or Taxi Driver. I wasn't quite familiar with Taxi. Well, I hadn't watched Taxi Driver yet. I think that was in like beginning of high school. So I knew about these two, right? And I was watching Pulp Fiction when I was 12. Bronx Tale. I owned Bronx Tale already on VHS, so I was already a big De Niro guy. I watched Scent of a Woman. The hoo-ah. I dug that. I liked Pacino, and I remember in '95 though I was really kind of excited that Kilmer was in this movie because that was my draw for me in '95. I'm like, Kilmer's in this movie, and when I thought about it, my main scenes I thought about were just when Judd tells him to go away, and so I think she sends him away and he leaves. I was like, yeah, Kilmer's in this movie. But it was kind of crazy though, man. At 13, when they sat together at that table, I remember this thinking as a young cinephile, like, this is important. And I also remember watching on TV with that, the 2:3:2, the aspect ratio was like 2:3:9 to 1. That was completely cut off, and it was just total full screen, and you saw one on the screen at a time. And I just remember like there's a conspiracy that they didn't film together, which I love. But this movie was like super important in '95, and I want to ask you a question. So Pacino at the time, he in '90 he did he did Dick Tracy. He was nominated for Academy Award, I believe, and Golden Globes for that. Then he was in Godfather Part 3. He was in Frankie and Johnny, Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross, Son of a Woman, Carlito's Way, Go John Leguizamo. Then he was in Two Bits and Heat. Then we have De Niro, who in 1990 was in Stanley and Iris, Goodfellas, 90, 1990 Awakenings, 91 Guilty by Suspicion. Imagine writing that movie. What movie did you write, Norbert? Guilty by Suspicion. I'm like, was it on like Cinemax?
It was. Yeah. Clearly.
And then 91 he did Backdraft, and then he also did Cape Fear. Then he did Mistress in 92, Night in the City, Mad Dog and Glory, Bill Murray as a bad guy. Beautiful.
Yes.
93 This Boy's Life, which I always remember, just terrible dad. A Bronx Tale, wonderful dad.
Yes, he was. That's right.
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Then he did 101 Nights, but then in 95, Casino in Heat. So, pardon my puns here, but both of them had some heat behind them. This wasn't a comeback for either of them by any means during this movie. This movie, the two of them, they had heat. This was a legit pairing of two actors who were on fire at the time. But I want to ask you, Norbert, who wins? Like at the end, the two of these guys, they face off. Vincent and Neil. Oh, I want to call him Chuck, but Vincent and Neil, they square off, and one has to leave. One has to leave that airport. But for you, Norbert, who wins this movie, De Niro or Pacino?
Man, the thing about it is,
Michael Mann.
Yeah, that's right. Michael Mann is the number one, the champion, the true hero as the writer and director of this movie. You gotta give it to Pacino though, man, because Pacino, he signs up for this movie, and he's playing the cop. He's done that before, the iconic Serpico role. But in this movie, he decides that he's gonna play it like Vincent Hanna is on coke the whole time. So this is why he explodes. You got a great ass. Don't waste my time. This is why he's doing all.
Give me all you got.
Yeah. Yeah, he's insane. And oh my God, my favorite line of his, I keep my angst. I keep it right here, because it keeps me sharp on the edge where I gotta be. That's coke. Absolutely, that's coke.
Deleted scenes, my friend.
Oh man. So the thing about it is, he plays this coked out cop who you never actually see do coke, but basically the personality is that of a cocaine driven maniac. Not Pacino, De Niro's playing De Niro.
Yeah.
He's cool.
Exactly.
He's calm. He's collected. He's suave. He's this guy, He's always suspicious. Edie comes up to him in the restaurant. So, what are you doing? What kind of book you reading? Lady, why you want to know what I'm reading? What are you doing? Hey, get out of here over there.
Yeah.
Hey, get out of here.
Bludgeon you with this cappuccino.
Yeah, shut up over here. I'm reading a book over here. Get out of here. He's toned down dude from Goodfellas in this movie the whole time. He's toned down. He's toned down. But he's not going out of his comfort zone. And this is one of the movies where with Pacino, it strikes you that he's doing all of the loud screaming and going nuts. Because like you said, Scent of a Woman, was that before or after this one?
Oh, that was 92. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because he beat Denzel and Malcolm X. That's what I always remember it as. Remember?
Thank you. Now you just made me angry again because I remember that too. Oh, man.
I remember I was 11 and I went, yeah, that's not cool.
It's not even the fact that Denzel played Malcolm X. Denzel became Malcolm X.
Yeah, exactly.
You put a video of Malcolm X next to a video of Denzel as Malcolm X, that's the same guy. It was anyway. Let me stop. So to answer your question, Pacino's the winner. Pacino's the winner. He's starting to incorporate the screaming more into his attitude, and finding out that he thought that the cop was burnt out on coke all the time. It makes now, it's the French kiss. It's perfect, Sid.
And I totally agree with you. And I've been listening to podcasts lately that break down this movie, and a lot of people give it to De Niro. But listen, what De Niro is doing, I could never do. He is not sleepwalking in this movie. He understands the role. He understands who he is. He's kind of like a Ronin, leave it 30 seconds. He's Leon in The Professional. He is the classic loner criminal who, like, he's that guy. He lives a life.
Yeah.
And so I get it. He understands it. It's a wonderful performance. But I watched this movie again. And I wanted to know who wins. Like I don't know why I wanted to think this, but I was like, who? Because this was the draw for this movie, right? This was it.
100%.
This was it. And you know what's funny? The next time I was so excited for a grouping of actors was De Niro, Edward Norton, and Brando in The Score. I remember
that's a cool movie. Yeah, that's an underrated movie.
But that was big for me. That was huge for me. That was like a big moment. But I'm going to give it to Pacino because of their scene at the diner. I love De Niro. He's doing the De Niro eye thing. Tom Sizemore tries to like outdo him with the eye thing when he says the action is the juice. That scene should take 13 seconds, but Sizemore stretches it out to 12 minutes. Just one line reading. Just looking at Val, looking at Robert, looking at a train, looking up, eating a hoagie.
Yes, it's the juice.
Looking up, looking back, thinking about it, touching his chin. To me, the action is the juice. Like, and then he looks at other people for 30 more seconds. You're like, geez Louise. But at the diner scene, De Niro's doing his De Niro, which is amazing. But Pacino, he doesn't yell. He doesn't say that De Niro has a great ass. He doesn't say, give me all you got. He doesn't.
He does, though. Got a great ass.
But he has this warmth to him and this smile and this confidence to him in this scene. I think like if I had to do like a power ranking of it, I know it's subjective, but I think Pacino wins that scene. Just watching him watch De Niro. De Niro's doing his De Niro thing, and Pacino had this different energy to him. And I know a lot of people talk about this where they didn't want to bring it. You know what's interesting? I just thought about this. In Heat, De Niro didn't want to rehearse with Pacino for that scene. Right. He wanted it to be amazing.
They're both super method.
Yeah.
They both came up in the New York theater in the 70s, which, can you imagine?
Jeez,
they're young actors in the 60s and 70s. They definitely crossed paths. They knew of each other. This is how they end up in The Godfather. So it's not that they don't need to rehearse, but it's that they are the type of old school actors where the first time we do it, this is not going to be 100 takes, Stanley Kubrick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got to get it right.
Yeah.
And we want to keep the original juices and the original feeling into the scene. And you can see that because the way that Pacino handles this whole thing, his character, Vincent Hanna, when they're sitting across from each other in the diner, this is the only guy he respects in the whole movie. In the whole movie. He loves his stepdaughter.
He
his
does.
Wife,
he likes her. He looks out for her.
Yeah. He loves his stepdaughter. His wife, he's tired of her bullshit. The people that he worked with up until Neil, those are the people that he's the closest with in his life.
Yep.
You know, towards the end of the movie, the cop that got shot, his arm's in a sling. He's super hurt. He's super hurt. Hey, so how you doing? You know, I'm in a little bit. Okay, hang up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He kills Neil in the climax of the movie. He gets real pensive and poignant. He holds his hand while he dies. He's really trying to connect with Neil. He wants Neil to be his homie because Neil is the only guy that understands this is all I do.
Mm-hmm. This is all I want.
It. That's all I want to do. Mm-hmm. I just want to be you. You want to be a dirtbag. Me, I want to be a cop. And I'm letting you know you're a cool cat. You know, if you spot me coming around that corner, you know, you're just gonna walk out on your girl. That's the discipline. That's the discipline. That's the discipline. And he gets that because that's how he gets down with being a cop. He has the horrible fight with his wife. Oh, where we going tonight? Out.
Yeah.
So he decides, you know what? He's not going to go cheat on her. He's going to go hang out with Neil, the sociopathic thief.
I was having coffee with him a half hour ago.
Yeah. So that's my take on what you're saying, man. It's 100%. 100%.
And I also like when Jon Voight is explaining how good of a cop Pacino is. Chuck. I know he's not Chuck.
Yeah. 3 divorces.
No, wait, yeah, wait, no. Yeah, Vincent. And so
Vincent Hanna.
Mix up their
Vincent
names.
Hanna.
Yeah, Vincent Hanna. And I love when Nate, played by Jon Voight, is like, dude's been married 3 times. Like, he's going to keep getting divorces. Like, this is his job is catching you. And
that's it.
I remember hearing that and just thinking, that's really good. Like that. I know they're explaining it, but it's still a good way to explain how a character is driven. I dig that about him. And
that's the discipline.
I just think Pacino in this is, and yeah, listen, De Niro unselfishly accepted the kind of samurai type role, the kind of gunslinger, the Eastwood type thing, silent but deadly.
Right.
But Pacino still, man, like Pacino kills Sizemore. Pacino is the one who takes Natalie Portman to the hospital. He's the one who's with his wife at the hospital. He's not, I don't know if he's a good or bad dude. I don't know what he is. He just wants to catch cops. But like, I feel like when it comes down to crunch time, like he's there for her. He stays there. He hunts them down.
This is why they mention that he's a Marine. You know, this is why the fence mentions that he's a Marine, because he's got discipline. He does what he has to do, and he doesn't feel bad about it because he needs his angst. Keeps him sharp, on edge, focused, where he need to be. You know, that's what he does. That's what I do.
What a gunfight.
The lighting, the airplane, the lack of music. Oh, this movie's 2 hours and 50 minutes long, and it never drags.
Okay, I have a question. Has there ever been a near 3-hour movie that feels like a 2-hour movie in the history of the, like, you know what I mean? Like the Lord of the Rings movies I adore. And I could probably watch them once a year. But they feel like they're 3 hours. And that's not bad.
You're asking the wrong person. I got the extended versions of those.
Oh, I love those movies. I love the extended versions.
4-hour movies each one.
Oh, man, and I would watch them. But
absolutely,
I would know they're 4-hour movies. This one, when you watch it, I mean, maybe when there was commercials on FX, but I mean, or TNT, whatever it was on. But this movie blasts by, man. It's like, this makes no sense. But this is not a 3-hour movie. I can't. No. You don't know where the time goes when you're watching this. It's